Hello guys, this is your friend Itachi Fanfic 3.0 and we are back a new fanfic story which is What if three divine warriors awaken together and change the fate of the world? Part 1. Let's start fanfic without wasting more time. In an age far older than the hidden villages, before the word shinobi carried meaning, the world rested under a quiet sky fractured by ancient rivalries. For centuries, humanity remained trapped between divinity and destruction, pulled by forces forgotten in history. But in the far reaches of this forgotten timeline, three individuals rose together, bound not by blood but by a fate older than chakra itself. Their emergence began on a desolated continent where the ruins of the first civilizations slept beneath layers of ash and collapsed stone pillars. Legends had whispered about the return of the reawakened heirs, children born not from normal lineage but from fragments of reincarnated cosmic will. These beings would carry the essence of creation, destruction, and balance within their veins. For eras, the prophecy remained misunderstood. Most assumed the heirs would destroy the world. Few believed they were meant to save it. The first of the three was a young warrior whose rigid determination shaped him like iron. His chakra was a harsh and heavy flame, shaped by conflict instead of guidance. His past was filled with battles he could not remember but carried in his bones like ancestral scars. Images of forgotten wars often flickered through his mind. Vast clashes between celestial beings, blades of light erupting from the heavens, shadows swallowing mountains. He had no name for these visions, yet they influenced every part of him. Whenever he awakened from dreams he never wanted, his fists trembled as if still holding weapons made for gods. The second heir, a woman with a calm but frightening intensity, carried a chakra that seemed older than words. Her aura resembled a flowing ocean of memory, saturated with the wisdom of countless lifetimes. While she retained perfect control, she often felt disconnected from the mortal world. She understood emotions but rarely felt them with the depth of others, as if her heart belonged to an era before human emotions had names. She remembered pieces of her former existence. Standing beside a colossal tree glowing with divine power, a great motherly figure speaking her final blessing, and a warning that one day the balance would be broken again. These fragments shaped her into the stabilizing center between the other heirs. The final heir was the most unsettling. His presence carried a cold that even fire could not erase. Unlike the others, his chakra manifested not as flame but as a pale spectral radiance that curled around his body like ancient spirits guarding him. Horn-like extensions on his head suggested something beyond human, a lineage tied to an extinct celestial race. His memories were clearer than the others. He remembered a world dominated by divine tyrants who believed that power belonged only to the chosen. He remembered rebellion, suffering, and countless battles that ended in nothing but silence. He carried a burden of guilt so dense that his soul felt permanently chilled. He believed he had failed before, and this time, he would not. Together, the three heirs awakened in the age where humanity had just begun discovering structure within chakra. Across distant lands, clans began forming around basic techniques: fire, water, earth, lightning, wind, primitive compared to the power once wielded by ancient beings. To the heirs, these new clans appeared fragile but earnest, trying to rise from the ashes of destroyed civilizations. As the heirs traveled, the world reacted to their revival. In remote forests, animals bowed instinctively when they neared, sensing their divine signatures. Storms quieted, flames stabilized, and rivers split around their footsteps. Yet peace was never meant to follow power. The ancient evil sealed long ago stirred again beneath the crust of the world. It had slept for millennia, but it recognized the chakra of the heirs instantly. It had battled their former selves. It had suffered under their combined power. And now, sensing their incomplete awakening, the ancient darkness sought freedom more aggressively than ever. The heirs' first challenge came quietly. They noticed mortal kingdoms preparing for war over land and resources. Though humans believed their conflict important, the heirs recognized something deeper beneath the nations: rising tension, a subtle manipulation. Threads of corrupted chakra seeped into rulers' minds, pushing them toward violence. The darkness underground was already shaping the future. The woman sensed it first, her intuition sharpened by memories of her ancient mother's teachings. She felt the imbalance spreading like cracks through stone. The young warrior confirmed it with his burning instincts, and the spectral heir recognized the taste of that corruption all too well. It felt like the same curse that once erased entire civilizations. Determined to stop the collapse, the three heirs united, forming an alliance based not on friendship but on existential purpose. They traveled across war-torn lands, not interfering directly in mortal affairs but examining the route. Wherever they walked, hidden pathways unlocked beneath their feet, revealing temples built in an era beyond recorded history. In these forgotten sanctuaries, glowing symbols of creation surrounded murals depicting their former incarnations, the closest humanity had ever come to understanding the divine. The murals revealed a terrifying truth: the ancient darkness was not an enemy from outside the world. It was the world's own corrupted fragment, a malformed consciousness born when creation went wrong. Its goal was to unmake existence so it could return everything to the void from which it originated. As the heirs absorbed this truth, the world's chakra began shifting violently. Storms raged across seas, mountains broke, and dormant volcanoes awakened. Animals fled from forests, and ordinary people began sensing dread in their dreams. The balance of chakra was collapsing faster than ever, and only the heirs had the potential to restore it. The warrior heir trained relentlessly, mastering the raw fire that surrounded him. His flames were not natural, they were remnants of pure primordial energy capable of rewriting matter. The woman sharpened her control, stabilizing her energy until it resembled the heart of the world itself. And the spectral heir learned to harness the cold celestial chakra without succumbing to the memories of the divine war. But even with their training, the heirs realized they lacked something critical: unity. Their powers, though divine, originated from different aspects of creation. Without perfect synchronization, they could not face the darkness hiding beneath the earth. Their journey soon led them to the ancient central valley where the world tree once stood. The area now lay barren, only cracked soil and swirling chakra remnants remaining. Deep within the earth below that valley, they sensed the presence of the corrupted consciousness. It was growing stronger, absorbing chakra from the world itself. Before they could act, the darkness sent twisted manifestations of itself upward through the fissures. These spectral creatures were not alive, but they carried fragments of consciousness, illusions designed to manipulate, confuse, and weaken the heirs emotionally. The warrior saw visions of his past battles, the woman saw the destruction of her ancient homeland, and the spectral heir saw the faces of those he believed he once failed to save. Yet none fell to the illusions. For every lie the darkness conjured, the heirs countered with discipline forged over their incomplete but powerful past lives. They pressed forward into the depths until they stood before the slumbering core of the ancient evil, a massive, pulsating sphere of living void energy that beat like a heart without purpose. The heirs knew they were not yet strong enough to destroy it. They lacked the complete divine memory and unity their past selves once possessed. But leaving the core untouched meant certain destruction. Thus, they resolved to seal it temporarily, slowing its growth until they could fully awaken their divine potential. The sealing process required them to share their energies, intertwining their essence in a way that risked overwhelming their human forms. Their bodies glowed: orange fire from one, balanced neutral chakra from another, blue celestial aura from the last. For the first time, their powers intertwined harmoniously. But though they succeeded in creating a temporary seal, the act took a heavy toll. The core thrashed violently within its temporary prison, shaking the earth above. Its pulse released shockwaves that traveled through the world, awakening dormant chakra sources and altering the natural flow of energy everywhere. When the heirs resurfaced from the valley, they found a world beginning to change unnaturally. Certain humans started developing uncommon chakra traits, bloodlines that would later form major clans. Animals mutated, gaining unnatural abilities. Nature itself began reshaping, and storms grew sharper, more unpredictable. These were not random changes. They were side effects of the temporary seal, consequences the heirs had foreseen but could not avoid. Now they had only one path left: complete the awakening they postponed for thousands of years. But awakening meant accepting their true ancient identities, something even they feared. Their past selves had known pain beyond comprehension, wars that made mountains fall, betrayals that split civilizations, choices that cost entire worlds. Awakening meant becoming weapons again, beings neither mortal nor fully divine. Yet the world was running out of time. So the three heirs traveled to the farthest edges of existence, where the original celestial temples still stood untouched by time. These temples were not made of stone but of raw chakra crystallized into form. The sky around them shimmered, revealing layers of reality invisible to ordinary eyes. Inside each temple lay fragments of their former power, not weapons, but memories carved into the universe itself. Retrieving these fragments meant reliving every success and every mistake from their old lives. It meant knowing why they had sealed themselves away before. One by one, each heir entered their respective temple. The warrior faced the truth of why he fell, not in battle, but because he could not let go of his rage. The woman learned she had once been the mediator between celestial factions, her compassion the only force that kept peace alive. The spectral heir remembered that he was once heir to a godlike clan, but he turned against them to protect free will. By reclaiming these memories, their powers grew exponentially. Their flames burned brighter, their chakra steadied into perfect harmony, their spectral aura enveloped them like a second skin. But with power came realizations deeper and more unsettling than they expected. They remembered the final warning from their ancient progenitor, that if the darkness ever revived again, the heirs' last battle would not be against an enemy, but against a choice. The choice to save the world or to restart creation from the beginning. As they emerged from the temples, the sky cracked with threads of void. The temporary seal on the darkness was weakening faster than expected. Its influence spread into the minds of strong humans, particularly those obsessed with power. Armies prepared for wars that neither side wanted. Clans awakened new abilities uncontrollably. Nature's balance spiraled toward collapse. The heirs stood atop the ancient world cliff, watching continents shift beneath chaos. They knew now that their reincarnated forms were no longer enough. They must become what they once were, beings capable of shaping destiny itself. This was not the climax. This was merely preparation. The true war was only beginning. And the heirs, now stronger but still incomplete, understood that the next step required something they never attempted in any lifetime. Perfect synchronization of creation, balance, and celestial power, a fusion that would break the limits of existence. The world waited. The seal weakened, and destiny prepared to judge them once more. Before the time of shinobi clans, before chakra was molded into jutsu, before nations rose from dust, the world existed as a place caught between the last breath of an ancient era and the first whisper of a new one. The world was quiet on the surface, but beneath the soil, something old and restless waited. In this era, three figures walked paths that no ordinary human could understand, beings born from the remnants of a forgotten cosmic lineage, tied to a past erased even from myth. Civilizations had come and gone without ever realizing the true nature of the forces shaping their destinies. Humans believed wars were fought for land or power, and kingdoms crumbled because of greed or pride. But the deeper truth was far more ancient. The world was slowly healing from a war of gods that was so destructive it fractured the essence of reality. Those divine beings vanished, leaving behind faint sparks of their power, sparks that would one day choose vessels. Those vessels awakened together. The first was a young man whose presence radiated the warmth of a burning star. His chakra resembled flowing fire not born from nature but from creation itself. His gaze was sharp, unwavering, as if shaped by countless trials that his current lifetime had long forgotten but his soul still remembered. He carried within him the echo of a warrior who once fought entire cosmic armies, not for glory but for righteousness. Yet even he could not recall the full truth of that forgotten identity. All he understood was that he carried a purpose too heavy for ordinary existence. The second was a woman whose calm intensity seemed to quiet the world around her. Her chakra did not flare or rage. Instead, it moved like a river carrying both memory and destiny. To mortals she appeared unshakable, but she lived with an unending sense of déjà vu, as if every mountain, every ruined temple, every flicker of sunlight had been seen by her before. She often sensed the flow of fate shifting subtly around her, and she knew the world's condition was far from natural. Though she could not name it, she carried the essence of balance itself. The third was the most enigmatic of the three, a pale figure wrapped in an aura that resembled ethereal flame mixed with celestial frost. His horns were not a mutation nor a curse but a sign of a lineage long erased from existence. His chakra was the cold heartbeat of the cosmos, a reminder of a time when celestial beings walked freely. He alone remembered fragments of the ancient war, enough to know that their awakening was not coincidence. The world was nearing another collapse. The three walked different paths initially, unaware of one another yet drawn by the same shifting current in the world's chakra. As they traveled through abandoned landscapes filled with the skeletons of old civilizations, they each felt an undercurrent of dread, a silent hum of corruption deep beneath the earth. It was not a physical presence but a spiritual distortion, something dark enough to warp the natural flow of chakra across continents. In remote regions, animals grew hostile for no reason. Storms gathered without wind. Rivers turned unpredictable as if flowing against the world's will. And every night, the sky flickered with faint cracks of light, not visible to ordinary people, but clear to beings like them. The world was bleeding through the seams of reality. When the three finally crossed paths, the meeting felt less like coincidence and more like inevitability. They recognized one another before a word was spoken, not by name, but by aura. Their chakras resonated, harmonizing into a triad that echoed across the spirit of the world. It was the resonance of creation, balance, and celestial law intertwining again after thousands of years. Together, they traveled across shifting landscapes, trying to identify the core of the corruption. Everywhere they went, they found signs of an old curse awakening, temples with shattered protective seals, relics humming with unstable energy, and surviving inscriptions describing an ancient, void consciousness, buried deep within the world. The inscriptions were faded but warned of an entity born during the cosmic war, a being formed from the remains of destroyed worlds. It had no form, no name, only hunger. It was sealed long ago by divine beings who sacrificed themselves to protect reality from collapsing inward. But seals, no matter how powerful, weaken with time. And now, the corruption rising in the world was proof that the entity beneath had begun to move again. The three knew that they alone had the potential to face it. But their powers were incomplete. Their reincarnations had gifted them raw potential, but not full memory or perfect control. To truly stand against the coming storm, they needed to reclaim the power hidden within the forgotten temples scattered across the world. Their journey took them to the oldest ruins, a place where stone pillars twisted upward like frozen lightning, and the air shimmered with ancient chakra. Beneath those ruins lay chambers holding fragments of their past selves. Each step into those temples forced them to confront echoes of their former lives. The young warrior faced the past self whose flame once consumed celestial invaders. He saw how power had once blinded him, turning his resolve into wrath. He vowed not to repeat that failure. The woman confronted memories of her role as the stabilizer between warring divine factions. She learned how her compassion once saved countless worlds from collapsing into chaos. Her strength was not power but calm. The horned heir relived the downfall of the celestial clan that birthed him. He remembered how their arrogance nearly destroyed existence and how he turned against them, choosing freedom and imperfection over eternal domination. Each recovered memory added layers to their present selves, strengthening their divine chakra. When they emerged from the temples, their energies had changed. The flames around the warrior glowed with cosmic intensity. The woman's aura felt like a pure harmonic that steadied the world. The third heir radiated celestial frost and spectral flame, creating a force neither hot nor cold, but something beyond elements. But with increased power came heightened sensitivity. They could now feel the true intensity of the corruption spreading beneath the earth. The ancient entity was waking faster than expected, feeding on distorted chakra, gathering force to burst through its decaying prison. Its hunger reached into the minds of mortals, twisting ambitions and igniting wars for no reason other than chaos. The heirs pressed deeper into the continent's heart, seeking the place where reality felt thinnest. The ground beneath them trembled with every step. The sky above flickered with fragmented stars as if the heavens were remembering the cosmic war that once tore them apart. The world's pulse weakened, as though time itself hesitated. At the edge of a collapsed valley, they found the source, a chasm that breathed darkness. From its depths emerged waves of corrupted chakra shaped by the entity's consciousness. Memories that were not their own flooded their minds, showing worlds consumed, civilizations erased, and realities folded into oblivion. Yet they did not turn away. Their divine origins anchored them. They stood above the chasm like sentinels of an era the world had forgotten. They knew they could not defeat the entity yet. Their powers, though vast, were still incomplete. But they could attempt one thing: a temporary suppression. Pooling their energies together, they created a triad seal, a construct formed by weaving fire, balance, and celestial essence. The seal descended into the chasm, stabilizing the corruption just enough to halt its spread. The ground shook violently as the entity resisted, but the combined force of the three held firm. The seal worked, but only barely. The moment the chasm quieted, the world reacted violently. Chakra across continents surged unnaturally. Some humans awakened new abilities. Clans formed around suddenly enhanced instincts. Nature warped, and animals evolved. Natural laws rewrote themselves in subtle ways. The heirs recognized that sealing the corruption even temporarily had triggered a chain reaction across the world. Just as their divine chakra strengthened the seal, it also awakened dormant potential everywhere. Change, both good and dangerous, had begun. Exhausted but resolute, the three stood together as the trembling earth slowly settled. They knew the seal was only a pause, a fragile moment of calm before the true confrontation. If they wanted to save this world, they needed to unite their powers completely, synchronizing their origins into a single force of creation. But synchronization required acceptance of their pasts, their destinies, and the burden of becoming something more than mortal. As night fell across the altered world, the three heirs stared into the distance, sensing the slow but inevitable pulse of the entity beneath. Their next steps would determine the fate of the world. This was only the beginning. The darkness was not defeated. The seal was temporary. And fate was approaching. The world did not remember when the first light fell from the heavens, but ancient texts whispered of a time when celestial beings shaped the destiny of humanity. Ruins buried beneath forgotten mountains spoke of these visitors, their symbols etched into stone like warnings or promises. Centuries passed, and their existence dissolved into myth, yet the power they left behind never disappeared. Far from the temples and the scholars, a boy named Arashi lived in a small settlement hidden within endless forests. People spoke little to him, for an unspoken understanding lingered. He was different. His eyes, silver gold and strangely calm, carried a depth that no child should possess. His presence felt ancient, as if he held within him memories too old for his young years. Arashi himself did not understand the truth of his origin. He only knew that the world often felt distant, as though he walked through it but did not belong to it. When he touched the earth, it pulsed. When he looked at the sky, something beyond the clouds seemed to look back. The village elders whispered many things. Some believed he was blessed. Others feared he was a vessel for a dormant force. But Arashi lived quietly, never seeking anything more than peace. His days were simple: gathering water, tending to the forest paths, helping the older villagers. Yet beneath that calm life pulsed an energy he could not control. At night, when he closed his eyes, visions came to him. Endless white landscapes. Giant beings made of shimmering patterns. A figure with sun-bright marks across its face, reaching toward him, always whispering in a language he did not understand. The visions left him exhausted, and each day he grew more aware that something inside him was stirring, pushing for release. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Arashi felt a sudden heaviness in the air. The sky shifted, dimming in an unnatural way. Leaves trembled though the wind was still. For the first time, the boy sensed something familiar, an energy he had only felt in dreams. He looked up. The sky opened. A thin crack of light spread across the heavens, radiant and delicate yet powerful enough to silence the world around him. It was not thunder or fire. It was quiet, eerily quiet, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Arashi felt the same pull he had always felt in his dreams. A warm thread connected his chest to the light above. Something called to him. Steady, patient, inevitable. His heartbeat slowed. His mind cleared. The truth he had never asked for began to surface, layer by layer, like memories awakening from a long slumber. The crack in the sky widened, and the world around him dimmed further, time dragging into a slow swirl. From within the light, a silhouette stepped forward. Tall, calm, radiant. Its form resembled the artwork carved on ancient stones, the same shape that appeared in his visions. Its features glowed faintly, marked with divine patterns. Though distant, its gaze met Arashi's directly, as if it had been searching for him for centuries. Arashi did not move. He did not fear. Instead, he felt a strange familiarity, an echo of recognition deep within his being. The presence did not feel like a threat, it felt like fate. The villagers, far behind him, did not dare approach. They watched with trembling hands, unsure if their world was ending or beginning. The figure finally spoke without a voice, its thoughts flowing directly into Arashi's mind. No words were formed, yet the meaning was clear. You have slept long enough. Arashi inhaled, and a dormant warmth flooded his veins. The markings on the celestial figure's skin lit up, and for the first time, Arashi felt something awaken inside him, something ancient, vast, and divine. The ground beneath him pulsed. The air thickened, and the truth began to rise. He was not merely a boy. He was the last echo of a forgotten celestial lineage. The final remnant of a power born before the creation of nations. A force that was never meant to live quietly. The sky shifted again, brighter now, and Arashi's world changed forever. He did not know yet whether this awakening would save humanity, or destroy it. But destiny had finally found him.